Howdy diddly dandy there, chums. I've been coming across news story after news story talking about this Harvard professor that's talking about Atlas of 3I 31 that's been spotted, that's heading towards us of October of this year. Now, people are saying that he's claiming that it's a UFO craft. Let me just quickly take a little sip of my tea and then we'll get straight into this. Now, I've watched it and I'm not hearing the same thing. You know what? Let me bring it up on screen and let me play it for you guys, and I'll pause it at regular points and we'll talk about it a little bit, people. So here we go. Let's hit play to this and let's just react to it.
The supposed comet is catching the attention of some of the nation's most renowned scientists, as one Harvard professor is raising the theory this may actually be a piece of alien technology. According to renowned theoretical physicist Professor Avi Loeb, the comet is on an extremely unusual path, moving.
So she said it herself there. He said it's a theory. It's a theory. It's not something that's been papered, documented, peer-reviewed. This is his theory. It's something that he's not ruling out.
Too fast to be bound by the sun's gravity, breaking a typically seen orbital trajectory. And while this comet poses no current threat, Professor Loeb believes more data should be collected to uncover the nature of this object and whether it has the potential to create risks in the future. Joining us now to discuss more is that scientist himself, Harvard professor of science and author of Extra-Terrestrial, the First Sign of Intelligent Life Beyond Earth, Avi Loeb. Professor, it's always so good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
There's always a book. There's always a book, people. And when somebody has got a book to sell, you know, that's their first and foremost thing. So he's probably going to want to say something quite controversial. And even on the front page of his book, it says extraterrestrial, the first signs of intelligent life beyond Earth. He wants this to have intelligent design. He wants this to have intelligent life aboard it because it's going to help him sell some frickin' books. In fact, you'll probably find a lot of people have been hitting this up already and buying this book based just solely off of this newscast.
It's wonderful to see you, Natasha.
So, Professor Loeb, your recent paper suggests that this object might actually be alien technology rather than just another comet. What exactly about the speed, the trajectory, the behavior leads you to consider this as a possibility?
Well, first, it's relatively bright for its distance, implying that if it's a solid object, it has to be 20 kilometers in diameter. That's twice as big as the giant asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. And the previous objects we saw from interstellar space were only hundreds of meters in size.
Now, he mentioned previous objects that came into orbit. Now, this same chap sounded off about Oumuamua being some sort of alien craft. So I think what he's probably sort of speculating in a roundabout way, or if I was to deduce what he's trying to say, is Oumuamua might have been some sort of original pilot ship that came out, like a probe. And this one that's now approaching might be some kind of scout ship. And maybe there might be something even bigger in the wings. Now, I have been looking online to see if this is a working theory and if anybody else has cottoned on to this. And there's a few people that think that a wandering planet on an elliptical orbit known as Wormwood or Nibiru, don't know how you pronounce it, might be on its way back. And apparently this planet's got a 3,500 year elliptical orbit. And I was trying to see if that would sort of like link up to samples of the Earth that link to perhaps pole shifts like the Younger Dryas. But it doesn't quite match up, so I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, at the same time, it does make me think, I mean, he's already hit the drum on Oumuamua being some sort of alien craft, and that didn't turn out to be sending us any signals or anything like that, did it really, potentially? I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around Oumuamua. If you don't know what I'm on about Oumuamua, I'll bring it up in a bit. But let's just get through the rest of this before I go into anything else.
So there is just not enough rocky material in interstellar space to provide us with a 20-kilometer rock that appears once per decade.
What does he mean by there's not enough rocky substances in space? I mean, come on, most planets, if they're not gas giants, are made out of rocky frickin' material, aren't they? Something could have gone supernova outside of our frickin' telescope range that's caused this thing to come into fruition and fly this direction. And the worrying thing for me is if we've already seen Oumuamua and we've seen this, maybe that's happened. Maybe that's happened, and these are just shards of something bigger that could be heading this way. Perhaps something has colossal happened well outside of our solar system, well outside of our telescopic range. I honestly do think we need to invest in this, but I don't think we should be saying, oh, I don't think we should be going straight to this as a UFO craft. I mean, when you look at its trajectory, yes, it's fast, and yes, it seems to be bending slightly. But you've got to think, if it's going past large astral bodies like Saturn, like Jupiter, which are giant gas giants that could affect the space around them, then yes, we might see some deviations in its path. It might not look like it's a straight line because maybe it's been slingshotted off of other planets anyway. Maybe it's hitting all sorts. It might be hitting smaller meteorites and then changing course slightly on its way. There's a lot of things that can make it look like it's not behaving like a usual asteroid or comet.
But more importantly, the trajectory is very unusual. It's aligned with the orbit of the Earth around the Sun. And the chance of that happening is 1 in 500. And then it
1 in 500? 1 in 500, seriously? You know, I've got the same odds of finding a Mewtwo or something in a deck of frickin' Pokemon cards. You know, that's not that difficult, to be fair. That's not like 1 in a million or something. 1 in 500, that's quite low when you think of it, you know? That's like somebody being born with one eye blue and one eye green. In fact, I think there's larger odds of that, to be fair. You know, or albinoism. It's not large, is what I'm saying.
Also, the timing of its arrival is very fine-tuned because it comes very close to Jupiter, to Mars, and to Venus. And the chance of that happening is 1 in 20,000.
Okay, now those odds are a little bit better. That's like finding a shiny freaking Mew, isn't it, or something, you know? But at the same time, it's still not huge. You know, you got less chance of winning the lottery. I mean, this isn't needle in the haystack odds. Even 1 in 20,000 isn't that. You know, this is still sort of realms of, okay, well, it's not like a narrow thing.
And moreover, it's moving in the opposite direction to the motion of the Earth around the Sun. And when it will come closest to the Sun, the Earth would be on the opposite side. So we won't be able to observe it. That's the point in time when it can do a maneuver with the aid of the Sun's gravity. And that will happen on October 29th. And I already heard from a fan that he is trading options.
Okay, there's a bit to unpack there. The fact that it's going to be quite close to the Sun, it's going to come round the Sun. If this thing isn't just rock and it's also ice, I'd imagine with the heat of the Sun and the solar rays, we're going to see a lot of melting going on. This thing could shrink astronomically. However, it is moving extremely close to the speed of freaking light itself. This thing is moving supersonic fast. I mean, for it to be like over by freaking Saturn and Jupiter around now, and it's going to end up here near Earth by October. You try flying a ship that fast to Mars. It's even if you slingshotted it around the moon, it's you're looking at like decade maybe. You know, it's insane. So super darn quick this thing is moving at people. I mean, I'm not an astronaut, don't quote me on that stuff, but at the same time I'm just trying to put across it's moving freaking fast and it's going to go near to the Sun. I'm imagining if this thing has got any ice in it or anything that is less dense than really hardened freaking rock, it's going to start to melt. You know, even hardened rock is going to turn to some sort of plasmoid or liquid. Anyway, I'm expecting it to get freaking vaporized by the Sun, basically, people. If it doesn't get vaporized by the Sun and this thing does emerge from the other side, then that's when my eyebrows are going to raise and I'm going to be like, okay, there's something more to this and we need to start paying closer attention.
Against the volatility of the markets, the stock market, with an expiration date because of the October 29th, because if it's alien tech, you know, that would change the future in quite dramatic way. It will have a huge
I mean, so many questions. So, I mean, if I have this correct, I believe you've proposed using a Richter scale before to assess such objects as.
Okay. Oh, God. So, somebody he knows has started putting odds against the stock market because he thinks there could be a crash due to alien technology. Well, even if this thing is alien technology, first off, it's got to come to Earth, or we've got to send people out to scout it to get this alien technology, which I highly doubt we're going to do. And I don't think aliens are just going to give us that technology that's going to change the world. You know, there's a couple of leaps going on here, people. I wouldn't overly get massively excited about this. I'm not going to be holding out banners saying, welcome my new alien friends anytime soon, especially not this October, unless, like I say, this thing emerges from the other side of the sun unscathed, and then it slows its trajectory and starts heading towards us, then yeah. I think the last thing I'll be thinking about is stocks and shares, though, people. I'm going to be looking to invest in some brown trousers, because that's pretty darn freaking mental. It could be exciting, it could be scary, it could be a lot of things, but I just think this is a space rock and a bloody big one.
0 means this is totally of natural origin. 10 means this is clearly engineered. Based on what we know about this object and what you're observing, what number would you give it now?
We don't have enough data. It depends how much weight you give to the unusual orbit. The trajectory is extremely rare and fine-tuned.
Okay.
And depending on that, how much you assign to that, you will give it a rank that is somewhere in the middle. It's difficult.
He's given it a rank somewhere in the middle, around a 5. So a 50-50% chance that it's a rock, a space rock, or it's a UFO. Or UAP. Okay, well, it's unidentified anyway. So technically you can say it's a UAP just by freaking definition. It's an unidentified aerial phenomenon in a roundabout way. I mean, when it comes into eye line or whatever, or eyesight, or we're able to see it with the naked eye, which hopefully we will be able to. I mean, most comets we can as they come close to the sun. It's like Halley's Comet. You could see the tail off of that burning up. So I don't know whether we're going to see that. From what I've heard from other people around the world and other people that are observing this thing through large telescopes, is this thing hasn't got a tail. And I don't think he touches on that fact that it hasn't got a tail. I mean, we'll carry on playing. He hasn't so far anyway. That, for me, is a hallmark of a comet, when it's got a tail and it's throwing off vapor. This thing hasn't. So for that reason, that makes me think that there might be more to this than it just being a comet or asteroid. Where would I assign a number on this? I think I would give it a 4. I think it's more likely to be natural in formation. I think 60% of me right now is leaning that way. 40% of me is saying, okay, this could be something else. I mean, if aliens did want to come here and not ring alarm bells, they would try to make their ship look as natural as possible and use the camouflage of the galaxy around it. Whenever something wants to stealth or be hidden, that's exactly what they do. They use camouflage. That could be what's going on here.
To assess at this time, but we will get, the good news is we'll get much more better data in the coming months. And the fun of doing science is that you can ask questions at first and then answer them with data. And we don't need to have an opinion, especially in a blind date like this one. All bets are off. This visitor came from interstellar space, and it's possible that it targeted the inner solar system for a technological reason.
From what you're describing, this sounds like one of the worst blind dates potentially I've ever heard of. Do we have the capabilities right now to track, intercept, and even respond to something non-human entering our solar system as soon as October?
Well, it will be moving relative to Earth at nearly 100 kilometers per second when it's closest to the sun, simply because it moves in the opposite direction to the motion of the Earth. There is no way for us to send a rocket that will intercept with it from Earth. However, I wrote a paper last week that there is actually a spacecraft that is orbiting Jupiter. It's called Juno. And it's at the end of its life. The plan was to send it straight into Jupiter in September 2025, because the mission is, as ended.
Juno, they actually wanted to crash it through down onto Jupiter and send as much information back as they did so, which could be very good for science. So I think that would be a better scientific thing to do. But at the same time, if this is a threat, or if it does come closer to Earth than what we're expecting, it might be a good idea to use it on this space rock or whatever this space thing is. Wouldn't it be interesting if we did change its course as if it's going to aim at this space rock to see whether it picks up on it and if it alters its own course? It's a shame we can't use some of Juno's thrusters just to sort of play a little game of chicken. Just move it into its line of trajectory and see if it changes its own trajectory. If it doesn't, and I suppose we can let it hit the asteroid. If it does change its trajectory, then we know that we're up against something very odd indeed. And we've also got the choice whether we leave it to crash into the asteroid or if we leave it to just go back into Jupiter. Yeah, depending. I don't know that much about Juno and its capabilities.
But what I realized is that if instead of giving it a push so that it ends its life inside Jupiter, you give it a push away from Jupiter, if the push is sufficient, then it will actually intercept the orbit of 3I Atlas, this new object.
My worry with that is if it doesn't change its trajectory and we can't move this Juno out the way and they do collide, it could turn this one rock into multiple rocks with multiple trajectories. Now, if this thing was to miss Earth, it could be that if it's splintered into lots of different ones, once it comes around the back of the sun and is being slingshotted, they could be coming at us at quite a ferocity and at a wide berth. It's like turning a single bullet into a shotgun blast, isn't it? Maybe not the best idea.
In March 2026, when it will come very close to Jupiter. And on Tuesday this week, just a few days ago, I had a phone call from Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, who asked me for an update about 3I Atlas. And I mentioned this to her, and she wrote a letter to NASA on Thursday last week, just 2 days ago, in which she encourages NASA to look into the possibility of using Juno as a probe of 3I Atlas.
You see, now that's a better idea. If Juno has got a lot of sensors on it already, if they could move it so it almost gets caught in the wake of this thing as it passes, then hopefully we could get a lot of data on it as it passes. Rather than move it directly into its line of freaking travel, move it just to the edge so it can pick up all the data as it passes and maybe get caught in its wake for a little while and brought along with it so we can get some more information. And then we can then perhaps even use Juno to go down to Jupiter. 2 birds, 1 Juno. You know what I'm saying? That could work. That's not a bad shout from this guy. So although that I'm not giving him much credit for the whole thing of it being a UFO craft, he's got some good ideas anyway. The guy's good.
I really appreciate that update, and I hope you keep us updated on this as well. Professor Avi Loeb, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And if you want to hear more directly from Professor Avi Loeb, check out the Truth of the Matter podcast. Our conversation now has more than 500,000 views. He talks about how AI...
Okay, chums, now what I would say is what Avi Loeb said is it's come from interstellar space, and that I definitely agree on. And I was saying at the start of this video that perhaps a planet may have gone supernova and this is a shard from that planet. If it is a shard from an interstellar planet from outside of our visual range, it could be heavily laden with materials that are unknown origin. Alien origins could make up that rock. It could have alien bacteria on it. Heck, it was 7 miles wide. I doubt anything has survived on there where you could say it was intelligent life, but bacteria, forms of bacteria could. We've even got some of those snow bears that actually live on our own planet that can survive out in space, and other forms of bacteria. It could be that it could be harvesting, or holding at least, some sort of bacterium. If it does come close to Earth, or if it does impact Earth, it could bring with it alien life in the way and form of bacteria. So, you know, him saying that it might contain alien life, it could. But I don't think it's alien technology to the point that it's, you know, being piloted by intelligent life forms. But I could be wrong. And he could be right. I mean, he assigned a 5, I assigned a 4. We're not far off, to be fair. I mean, until it comes around the sun, until we've got the data, all he's saying is this is a theory. It's theoretically just as likely to be some sort of space intergalactic rock as it is a UFO. That's what he's saying. I'm saying it's more likely to be an intergalactic rock of natural origin than an actual piloted UFO craft. We haven't got long to find out, have we, people, to be fair? I did mention Oumuamua, didn't I? Let me just see if I can go and grab something on Oumuamua, and I'll be right back with you.
Captain Steve, oh Captain Steve, oh Captain, heck yeah, why not hit that like and subscribe? Thank you very much.
Okay, chums, just a simple search on YouTube on the word Oumuamua brings you back quite a repertoire of videos, and a lot of people saying Oumuamua is returning, and it's not alone, it's now with this Atlas 3I, and there's all sorts of renditions and things. It looks like a giant space turd, doesn't it, to be fair? Yeah, pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, this was heralded as being an alien spacecraft. Turned out to be a comet. But yeah, it's an oddity. Now this chap here, Michio Kaku, he's been on, I believe, Joe Rogan and lots of other shows. And he always comes up with very fringe-worthy theories. And he's actually really easy to listen to and believe. I mean, I remember watching some videos on this guy around 2012 talking about the Mayan end count, and he was very convincing around that. The world didn't end. We're still here. Yet his theories back then were pretty diabolical. So, I don't know. I think there's some people that like to sensationalize things with inside of the negative spectrum, to get people heightened and excited or hyped or worried or, I don't know, scared. Is it scaremongering is the correct term for it? I don't think Michio Kaku deliberately does that. I just think he's very excitable, and he loves his fringe science. I don't think he's really scared what other scientists think about him. And he's a fun one to listen to. So we could go hit that up and we can have a quick listen to that. Let's have a little listen.
When Michio Kaku, the renowned theoretical physicist and futurist, announced that Oumuamua had suddenly returned, this time not alone, the world was shaken. For years, Oumuamua had been the center of speculation, an object from beyond the stars that defied categorization. It first graced our solar system in 2017, cutting through the inner planets on a hyperbolic trajectory. Astronomers had barely enough time to track its movement before it vanished back into the vastness of space.
Which is just like this one, and it's on a similar trajectory, and that one went back out into space unscathed or untouched by the sun. It didn't break down. It could be a shard from maybe the same location as what I'm suggesting, maybe some sort of supernova outside of our actual quadrant of space. But let's see if we can get to the point where Michio Kaku actually talks, because this looks like one of those AI sort of scuff videos where they catch you with the thumbnail and then you never actually see the actual interview or what he had to say. So I'm just going to scan through this and see if we can get to the meat on the bones, which sadly now a lot of videos on YouTube are this. They're just generic AI driven created images with an AI voice going behind it with a very, very catchy thumbnail. And you can see here, I've gone virtually all the way through this and I've seen the AI footage maybe repeat several times, and I'm not seeing any footage of Michio Kaku there at all, people. So that could have been 31 minutes of wasted freaking time. And you know what? I am seeing that more and more on YouTube now, and it's really disappointing. Before you could go on YouTube and you could find things at a click of a button, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same thing, considering that it's got like hold on, let me bring that back up. Considering it's got an AI thumbnail, this one, I kind of I'm already wary of that before I've even clicked on it, and it looks like the same sort of footage that we're seeing inside of this one. And I bet you a lot of these are going to be very, very similar. I mean, that one's by Astrum, this one's by Astrum, this one's had 2 million views, that one's had 5 million views. And I bet you when I click on this, rather than actually be a human's voice, it's AI driven. Let's just click it just for fun.
A mysterious object zipped through our solar system at incredible speeds in 2017.
Okay. This sounds a bit better.
Dubbed Oumuamua, it is the first interstellar object we've ever detected. But by the time we realized it was actually in the neighborhood, it was already on its way out. With limited data, we aren't actually sure what it actually is or where it came from. But simply being interstellar is not what sets Oumuamua apart. That honor goes to what we saw Oumuamua do. An event so strange, so in defiance of the laws of physics, that some scientists have turned to the explanation of alien technology as the only means to explain it. What is Oumuamua? What did it do? And are there more objects out there like it?
So that one's quite a good video. I don't think that one's actually AI driven. I mean, this guy is not, I don't think, as an astronomic, whatever you'll call them.
Alex McColgan, and you're watching Astrum. Join me today in a deep dive supercut into our first interstellar visitor, the theories that surround it, and even plans to catch it up to settle the mystery once and for all.
Okay, chums, well, this is another 30-minute video, but basically Oumuamua done something very similar to what this new rock is doing. And this new rock is a lot larger, apparently. Oumuamua was like, it was big, but it wasn't like 7 miles big, like this new one that's heading towards us in October. So that's pretty much everything there for you people. I mean, you can do a deeper dive yourself and come to your own sort of conclusions on this. But if I had to speculate on what I think it is, not being that I'm an astronomicist or whatever they're called, these people that use giant telescopes to look into freaking space, you know, I don't know anything other than, I'm just going by gut feeling and logic and common sense. I honestly think that something has gone supernova outside of our actual galaxy, outside of our quadrant, and there's shards that are splintered off in loads of different directions, flying at massive speeds, and the Oumuamua was the first part of that shard, and now this one that we're seeing, this Atlas 33I or whatever, is a larger shard. Could it be that even bigger shards are going to head this way? Perhaps. And I think we should be very wary of them, because a lot of these things that go into our solar system and slingshot back out again often do a return. And although it didn't hit us this time, we need to be cautious of its trajectory and whether it could next time. What I want to know is just how close this object is going to come to Earth when it does slingshot around the sun. Now, there is another object supposedly on its way to us that we've already spotted heading towards us in 2027. Okay, chums, I'm over on nasa.gov. It's got a load of weird stuff in front of it, but when I was actually outside of this, you can see here it says nasa.gov and solar system. This is hypothetical impact. So, who knows, people? Oh, okay, well that brought up a completely different freaking thing this time I clicked on it. How weird's that? You saw what I had up a minute ago, didn't you? That was the only one I've clicked. Oh no, there we go. It's the PDF version. So it says here, exercise only. So chances of impact in 2027 is now 96%. Now there's a lot of people done videos off the back of this PDF and off of the back of what NASA have been saying. But I'm fairly sure that there was on the news of another asteroid that's going to head towards us either in 2027 or 2029. I know it's way before 2030. I can't find the exact newscasts of it anymore. I'll carry on looking, but it won't be a moment. There we go, I found it. I found it over on Wikipedia. So that's the actual asteroid's name. It's a right freaking mouthful. But anyway, it's a fair-sized asteroid, a near-Earth asteroid, potentially hazardous in the Apollo group. So that means it could be life-threatening. Was discovered on the 13th of January 1999 On the 7th of August 2027, this asteroid will pass in a fairly close proximity to Earth's centre. During the approach, its expected peak to apparent magnitude of 7.3 and will be visible in binoculars. So it's going to be a nice astrological event, if anything. But there were people that were saying that it had something like a 10% chance, then a 15% chance, and it went up to like 23% chance of actually hitting us. I remember seeing it all over different news channels, and for the life of me now, I'm not finding much on it at all. What I am finding is a lot of people saying that this alien sort of craft that's heading towards us could be some sort of lie, like some sort of false flag event, to get us all to unite together against a common enemy. You know, a common enemy was terrorism, well, the West versus the rest of the world, pretty much. But now it looks like there might be a new lie being formed around said asteroid. And I just watched this. It's only like 1 minute 36, but here you go. Let me show you.
That lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
Now, this guy said this back in January of this year. So this is before all this comedy type stuff hit the radar.
Of this object appears to be quite remarkable. It arrives within 5 degrees of the orbital plane of the Earth around the Sun. And the chance of that happening randomly is...
It's nuanced. How they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told.
And I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity I can't reveal. In the government are aware of something happening and that there's limited time, a few more years to prepare the people, and that's what's ramping up.
Yes, there was an official effort by some people in the government to actually look at this data, and there were some products produced. That's a fact. I won't go into more detail than that. But it wasn't 2027.
You're going to be told that there's a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie. Not going to be part of it. Not going to say it to the camera. Everybody knows. Just start paying attention. Is it that lie?
Very interesting stuff, people. You know, so the conspiracy theories are already happening. You've got a Harvard professor that's coming out and touting October, but there's a lot of other people online that are saying that 2027 is the actual date where something large is going to turn up. Now, what I wouldn't be surprised would happen is people will say Oumuamua was a probe, and then this larger rock was some sort of scout ship. And then there's a giant thing coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was Nibiru. So I'll just jump over onto the old Google, well, and back onto YouTube, to be honest, my point of stuffage. If I put in Atlas, 3i, and Nibiru. Oh God, why did it change what I bloody typed? Okay, 1 second, people. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so when I actually type in Atlas 3i and then Nibiru in the same, you've got people creating videos all the time around this and Nibiru being interlinked. And if you don't know the theory behind Nibiru, the Sumerian culture, one of the first cultures to record religion, stated that the Anunnaki, some sort of space race, came to Earth way before Jesus' time, way before the Egyptians, and seeded life on this planet, being the Sumerians. Yeah, created humans using their own DNA mixed with some of the primates they found on this planet, Now, the Anunnaki are said to be quite human looking, so they made us in their image. They're just a heck of a lot taller than us. And people even go as far as saying that the Anunnaki, inside of biblical and gospelist type text, are the Nephilim, the giant alien, giant angels that slept with man and made hybrids. But there's a lot of people speculating and creating their own little theories and conspiracy theories that perhaps these could be smaller objects from a larger hole, and perhaps that larger hole might be the planet of Nibiru. So just putting that out there, people. There are videos out there if you wish to watch them, if you do want to go down that rabbit hole. However, for me, I want to see what happens come October of this year. I think it's going to be interesting for science, definitely, especially if they use Juno to probe it, as Avi Loeb actually suggested. I really do hope that the government and NASA do exactly that and bring back some data for us before they go and crash Juno into Jupiter. I think that would be well worth doing. But I would probably try to move Juno into the path of the asteroid, just to play a little bit of game of chicken to see if it changes its trajectory. But then move it outside of its trajectory, and if not, and scan it as it passes. That's what I'd be inclined to do. I would first check for intelligence to see if it changes its flight path. But anyway, people, that's everything I've got for you. Sound up in the comments. Let me know what you think. Have I missed something? Is there a dot I didn't connect in all of this? Are you slightly deeper down in that rabbit hole than I? But anyway, I've enjoyed a cup of tea with you guys doing this. I really have. It's been a great one. And it's a nice little thought exercise, and that's all I see this being. And I kind of feel that Avi Loeb putting this theory out there that it might not just be a space rock of natural origin, that it could have some sort of purpose and design and intelligent life piloting it, is an interesting theory. I'm not rubbish in his work. He is an astrophysicist. I am not. I'm a guy that drinks tea and comments on the internet. He knows far more than me. He assigned a 5. 50-50, space rock of natural origin. 50-50, perhaps intelligent designed, perhaps intelligently piloted. If he's saying that, you've got to take it at face value that he's saying it's 50-50. Myself, I think it's less than that, but I am not the expert. He is. His words, not mine. It could be an alien craft. So there you go. That's something to dwell on. Can't wait for October to roll around now. Be cool. Anyway, salutamondo. Goodbye, goodbye, and goodbye again. And just as an ending caveat, I myself would love to know that we're not alone in this universe before my end of days. I would like to know that there is other intelligent life forms out there amongst the stars. I grew up in the 80s with stuff like Star Trek and Star Wars and loads of other awesome sci-fi. I mean, I loved Ulysses 31 and my little theme tune, Captain Steve, based kind of on Ulysses. Just saying, you'll hear it on the end track anyway. I'm really going to go now, but yeah, just so you know, I'm not shooting this down in flames because I really want it to be aliens. Okay, I really want it to be aliens. I just don't think it is. There we go. Salutamondo. Cheery bye.
Steve